let's kick it off here. Welcome everyone, session 4 pets. We got a lot of ground to cover tonight, but I appreciate everybody taking a little time to come on, join us tonight. We have a great list of presenters, a lot of good information. It's going to help all the PEs be that much better in their upcoming year. So to begin, I'm going to turn over to Sue Cerny. She's going to let us know what's on the agenda for this evening, and we will go from there. So Sue, take it away.
Thank you, Scott. Welcome, everyone. We're happy to have you. We are going to talk a little bit about setting goals, strategic planning, visioning to action, your Rotary Club toolbox, and coaching. So with that, I would like to turn it over to District Governor-elect Lisa Bishop. Lisa, you have the floor.
Well, thank you so much. And hello, everyone. I want to show you the shirt that I have on. Look.
Aww.
This is our year. And some of you have received your banner, right? How many have got their banners? Quite a few of you. Trying to do our best to get them out. Many of the assistant governors have them now. I think there's only 2 or 3 areas that haven't, trying to get to some of them personally. So enjoy the banner at home, but it's officially comes out July 1st, because we're all in Serve to Change Lives until July 1st. So I want to thank you very much. I have maybe 5 things to say like I did last time, and I'll go fast. Please ensure that you get your executive. If you have any of your executive and your key positions for your chairs listed on Club Runner. Talking about more about that tonight, but get them. And if you can't do it, you'll learn more tonight how to do it, but ask your secretary or someone who can. So important, because we're getting messages back that clubs don't have presidents-elect. They don't have presidents July 1st. They don't have secretaries, membership leads, all of this. It's quite important. I also want to remind you about the Club Training Assembly, which is next week on Thursday. It is for those yourself, presidents-elect. We have 1 session where we're going to be talking about the proposed budget for our year 22-23. You'll be voting on it. And also we'll have lots of time to dialogue and have more structured conversation around hot topics. So it's not just the budget, we're going to use the time. Then there's the assistant governors and assistant governors elect will be at a meeting. There's a membership lead, foundation, and public image. All these secretary and treasurer, they all have key role trainings on the Thursday, the 5th. So please register. You may have to, again, also get somebody to help people get registered if they need that help. And on the Saturday, it's from about 8:30 till noon. I think we'll finish before that. There's lots of offerings of different sessions, including fundraising that John Schrock was just leading us off on when people were coming on, talking about fundraisers and how we can work together. But there are 16 different topics that you can attend. I do also want to tell you that we have some realignments with your areas. So some clubs may be realigned into a different area. So it's just getting worked out, and we're streamlining just to make some geographic areas more aligned with who's doing what, and just trying to make it work out a bit better. And so we are realigning a few of the areas. So you may or may not have the same area that you were in before. There's only a few changes, but we do have some new assistant governors that are coming in because others have retiring. They put a lot of service in. So we have about, I think, 8 assistant governors coming on, and you'll get the full list. And that will all be launched at our changeover. Our graduation, so this is our last formal training, and our graduation is on May 26th. And it's a time of celebration and fun, and you'll hear more about that. But we do have Drew Kessler coming, who is our zone director-elect. And as I said before, he is a very interesting guy, leading his life in Rotary, and his family's all engaged. He's all about, you know, getting the family involved and doing things. And it's not just being a member of a club. So he will be talking. He's going to take some questions and answers. So I'll also ask you if you have any questions for him. And he's not going to give a formal presentation. It's all going to be Q&A and open dialogue. And that will be on the 26th. And Jennifer Jones, the first Rotary International president to be a woman, the first woman in 117 years of Rotary. She's doing a cross Canada tour and she's going across the world. You probably saw that in the our Rotarian magazine. She's going to 8 different spots throughout the world doing an impact tour, but she's also coming across Canada. She'll be in our district, and there's more to come about that. I think she'll probably be in the Hamilton area of the Toronto hub, which is 4 districts together. And so you'll hear more about that. And we will be providing some service projects and a bit of fundraising and fellowship on Tuesday, July 5th. And the next I want to tell you about, I think, is our changeover. We will have a live changeover on June 26th in Thorold, Ontario, in conjunction with the Canada Summer Games Torch Run, which is being hosted by the Niagara Rotary Clubs and Rotaract. And they are having a fundraiser as well during that entire time. They're running a beer tent, a hospitality tent at the Canada Summer Games. But on Saturday, the 26th, we are going to have the changeover as part of the Torch Run. And then on Monday, the Saturday, the 25th, I think it is. And on Monday, the 27th, online, we'll have a Zoom celebration as we did the last couple of years, where we'll celebrate and have the changeover then. And the last thing I'm going to say, which is after 5 things, is to stay on after our training tonight, please, because we'll have an open mic and we can have dialogue around hot topics, things that are of interest. We want to pick each other's brains, so we'll have the mic opened. And before things are done, I want to thank Dave Barry, because I forgot to thank him personally last time for all the technical support that he does. And I felt bad when I got off the call because I forgot to thank him. I really need to thank him for his devotion and commitment to making sure that things happen behind the scenes and gets all of this done and recorded, and really a strong member of our training team. So I want to thank Dave in particular. There, shout out to you. So back to you, Scott, and thank you for your service in chairing our pets.
Thank you, Lisa. And wow, that was that more than 5, Lisa? I'm not sure. We lost count there, but a lot of important things going on. So, all right. I think it was one time said that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So one of the things as being a president and very important is setting goals, setting a plan for your club's year. And doing that is very important. And again, as part of your planning process. So tonight, the esteemed Dave Barry, who you might have just heard mentioned, is going to lead you through a session about how to set your goals for your club. And if you get these goals set, you're more likely to achieve them. So David, take it away.
There, I hope you can see the screen by now, which says that setting goals, etc. This is a topic that I sort of look at in terms of it's really a business alignment, because really this is what businesses should be doing, and in fact this is what Rotary should be doing in order to be able to prosper. And to me it's kind of an interesting concept, because I feel that a lot of clubs look at it and say, well, we're going to do it for the annual basis, but there, good. Goals are really the end result of a planning process. And I look at this as in terms of strategic planning, this is a long-winded sort of definition, but there's a couple of things in it that I think are critically important. It's an ongoing process. This is ongoing from year to year. It's ongoing from month to month at all times, because you should have this as, I've often said that it's like steering a ship across the ocean. You've got a helm that you're going to have to use as your means of steering, but you've got to have a purpose and a goal to get somewhere, and it's the compass that is going to be that tool that's going to allow you to keep on track all the time. So it's ongoing, and it sets its forward course as a club, and so that you can see what's in the future. But the key things that most people leave out of when they think of strategic planning is the fact that it brings people together. And it's only that concept of being together and sort of team building and understanding where they're all going that makes it critically important. But it's all driven by and defined by the vision of the future. So I think when you look at strategic planning, you're looking at it and encompass a whole future of where the club wants to go and how they're going to get there. I look at it as a cyclical process. You're going to, and I start here at all times by analyzing your performance. Where are you today? And then you end up with identifying your values, because to me, values are going to be how you're going to get there and how the club is going to use the means of doing it properly. They're going to follow through with establishing those goals and then establishing the tactics. The difference between a goal and a tactic is very simple. A goal is the future end result. The tactic is how you're going to get there. And of course, you're going to track those processes. I look at that and say, those simple things are really what's going to allow you to follow through with that concept of what direction of being able to plan ahead. Why? What's it to us? Strategic planning is proactive rather than reactive. It's what every good corporation and club should be doing. It sets up that sense of direction, and it gives you that sense of efficiency because you've planned it out and you know your tactics and how to get there. And it brings together the membership with that purpose. We're all working on this. I know where we're going. Okay. And it can make a club more durable. I mean, you as a solid club with a solid purpose is really what you're looking for. So the tremendous benefits out of strategic planning are sort of hidden in some cases. And a lot of people don't understand that it really does have overall effect of benefiting the club. I look at this really in terms of a process that has, and I've sort of adopted this because of the approach that Rotary International has. You should be putting together with your club the idea of what a mission and values and visions are for the club itself. And we've got an excellent team that'll help you out with that. Once you've established that, you can set your goals for a long-term proposition, but on an annual base. On an annual base, you're going to have to turn around and set the minor tactics and steps in order to be able to accomplish these. And it's that annual goal in which you're going to monitor it and you're going to adjust. You're going to be able to steer that helm to be able to reach your final goal on an annual basis. So look at it as the way in which we are going to talk about annual goals are really to be part of the success goals that you want for the far future. Today is your mission. What's the mission all about? The mission is what an organization is, why it exists, a reason for being. The vision is all about tomorrow. What's the vision all about? It describes the future of the Rotary Club, what you want. And values. It's how will we do it? It's how we will carry on ourselves. It is what is going to motivate us and have principles within our clubs. So it's going to be a level of integrity and fairness and honesty and the things that we have fostered within the Rotary system. So I think those things have to be established. And I think what we have, and I'll show you how to get a hold of the right team to be able to do that for your club, is a group that can do this and help you set the views for the successful goals of the future. Setting goals. Well, I look at it and I say, well, the end is where you want to judge to begin with. And setting goals have got to be, you remember the old SMART routine? SMART meaning specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. It's got to be specific. You've got to know exactly where you're going. It's got to be measurable, because when you get there, you won't have any idea whether you're successful or not unless you have measured it. Attainable, it's senseless to set a goal that nobody can reach. So make sure it's attainable. It's got to be relevant to those who are doing it. And of course, you've got to have a time bond or base in which you're going to say, I've reached that goal within that time limit. Because if you think you're going to have all the time in the world, you're not. The strategic planning process for any club has got 4 steps to it. The first one is going to be call in the district and set together a strategic planning meeting that allow you to set your goals. The district will help you do that. And it's really an event. It's really bringing all your club members together who say they think they can accomplish these things in 3 or 4 or 5 years. You then have that strategic planning committee refine what those the club is going to think about after that meeting, and develop those goals to begin with, to begin the process of having the next step, which is the board approval. And then you always go back to the club for their approval. That buy-in is critically important in terms of what a goal setting process is all about. I've given you a list here in terms of goals are, and I'm going to try to quickly go through them. And because these are categories, and I think you could probably look at some of the goals that you might have within your own club and say, yeah, we do that very well. Oh, there's a category that maybe that we could concentrate on a little bit better. Okay. And of course, these are not all, you shouldn't think of, I've got 10 categories here, but you shouldn't think of setting goals for all those 10 categories, because your club is going to be limited probably by the number of members. It's going to be limited by the amount of money you have and the time available. So it's not logical to be able to set them all, but it's logical to be able to have something that everybody has bought into within the club and can accomplish. Club characteristics focuses on meaningful volunteerism. Community, you're looking at the focus on supporting the legacy projects that promote a healthy club. Our club just finished putting in a trail throughout the city, which is a great accomplishment. The international service focuses on projects engendering self-reliance and sustainability. But remember, these are you don't have to put a lot of money into this. You can volunteer to do things. And that's an action that can allow you to do an international service. You can have sponsorships and you can share with other clubs and raise money to be able to do those projects on an international basis. Vocational services, educating, mentoring, engagement of youth in career and employment. You know these things. And I mean, to put together a mentoring project for a young person is tremendous. Youth services, youth exchange, RILA, Slapshot, Rotaract, Interact, Early Act. We had a student that started out by going to Slapshot, and then we said, well, you got to try out RILA, and then we had him at a youth exchange, and he's now a Rotarian. In fact, he's an active club member. Club service strengthens the Rotary Club through relationships. And after all, you join Rotary for relationships. There's no doubt about that. Public image, the focus is in using community strength to advance Rotary image. You got to get the word out there in order to be successful. And people have to know what you're all about. And of course, the full foundation, looking at every Rotarian every year. Fundraising. Again, be careful, because too much fundraising can end up as being a very difficult on your members. So be very careful about that. And memberships, club size affects its capacity to provide the services, raise the money, and remain suitably active. Okay, so look at those 10 items and recognize that strategic planning is really an area that you're going to have to be very careful with. Small steps to get there. And those are the annual goals. So be aware that you might set a goal for 3 or 4 years down the road, but it's that small step, okay, of annually plugging away at it that'll allow you to get there. Okay, annual goals. Or what do you set each year to eventually reach that strategic goal? Okay, and I want you to recognize that that has to be monitored and adjusted at all times. In fact, these are the things that people think of when they think of goals, because for some reason, Rotary has looked at it and said, annually, we want to give you a Rotary citation. And we look at it and say, well, we can gain a Lighthouse Award. But I feel that a lot of times people are failing to recognize that the long-term goals are really what the short-term annual goals are all about. So keep that in mind. Yes, I want to get those awards, but I want to reach that long-term goal too. Okay. It is an iterative process with constant monitoring at all times. A process that must be coordinated year after year when you look at goal setting every year. And it has to be monitored within the year. You must have a goaltender. You know, it seems strange, but think of it this way. Somebody's got to be there to be able to check, to make sure that you're on course at all times. And I sent out some sheets that were sort of an indication of how we keep track of it. So I'll draw your attention to that eventually. You've got to have a June meeting in which the board is going to get together with the president-elect, especially, to be able to set the goals for the next year. These goals should be set, yes, in July, in June, because really what you're doing is setting them for next year, and you've got to hit the ground running. Coordinate annual goals with long-term goals. I've said it already. And a monthly report has to go to that board on the progress. Now, if you look at the sheet that I gave you, that there is sort of a process that you can see right away. There's a listing of all the goals that Rotary Club Central has. And what we do is we make sure that we list the goals that we have set for those. We monitor how we are doing. We add the numbers up to make sure that by the end of the year, we have reached those goals. The citation is that we must achieve, I believe it's 13 annual goals for Rotary Club Central. And of course, we'd like to do the Lighthouse Awards too. And you know what that does? That gives your club that feeling of accomplishments, which is really tremendous to be able to have. I'm going to go into Rotary Club Central. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how to set the goals, to monitor the goals and report the goals. And I'll see how much time I have in order to be able to accomplish that. You should be able to see this now. It says My Rotary. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into an area of My Rotary that will allow you to, if I can get rid of that one. Member Center. Then I'm going to come over here to Online Tools. And I'm going to go into Rotary Club Central. I'll show you My Rotary later, but I just wanted to stick to this theme. There, can you see that? Okay, a couple of things that I wanted to show you about Rotary Club Central, first of all, is that the menu is on the left-hand side. Okay, I'm looking for, no, it's the head that you can see. It starts all the time, opens with the dashboard. And the dashboard is really just to give you a summary of all your club statistics. So you can go through that. But it's the goal center that I wanted to show you very quickly. The goal center opens up with 5 different areas. There's and now make sure you're always in the right year, by the way. Member engagement, Rotary Foundation, service, young leaders, and public image. And if you look at the sheets that I gave you, you'll find that the number of successful goals you're looking for are listed in every one of those. So if I stay in the members and engagement, we're going to be counted by our membership and what our goals were. We're going to be counted by the service participation and how we feel we're going to be working on that. If we look at this, we could even look at this and say, well, how did we do in previous years? So I click this one here and I see in previous years how we met that goal. So are we out of line with what we should have? Okay. Now, the one thing that I wanted to show you is that in order to be able to set your goals, you simply click on the edit button and the screen changes so that you can look at a little square and you can change this any number that you want. So down here on the right hand side, okay, you change the goal from 2 to 3 and then press save. Can't do that, somebody will object. Okay, so all the time you will see there are areas in which can change in all of them, except a few. Watch, when I say this, okay, it shows that I've got 35 members achieved, and the goal we had for this year was 33. Well, let's go and edit that because we just had one member join. And you'll notice that we cannot change the number of members because it has to go through Rotary International. And Rotary International is the guy that will put the numbers in here for you. They'll do that for your membership numbers, and they'll do that for your dollars given under foundation numbers. So the numbers of achievement and the numbers of goals will come from you. In this case, the achievement will have to go through Rotary International. When you've added a member, it will come up here. Okay. Now, when it comes to things like Rotary Action Group participation, we have 1 as the goal, and we've got 2 so far. We control that. So we will put that number in. Okay. And the other thing is, no matter what category you're in, go back and save. Goals are saved. Okay. So what I'm trying to point out here is that the process for this is so simple. The process of this will allow you to follow through and keep track of your accomplish not only what you want to set as a goal, but how you're going to accomplish it. And it'll allow you to report back into it. Go through that one sheet I gave you, which looks like actually it's a Xerox sheet. And you'll notice that it mirrors exactly what it is. Under memberships and engagement, the categories are club memberships, service participations, new member sponsorship, Rotary Action Group, leadership development participation, district conference attendance. These guys count everything. So you can accomplish a goal simply by setting a number of people that are going to district conference and achieving that. And what you want to do is say district conference is very important because it gets especially the new members together and takes them into the fellowship of being in Rotary. And really what you want to do is say, listen, I want to send our 3 new members on this district conference. And we make sure that they go. We set the goal and we achieve it. It's not just the old cronies like myself that go, but it should be the young people. Okay. Okay. Look down under, and here's the oddities about some of these things. The foundations, again, the achievement is set by them, but we set the goals. Okay. When you edit this, be careful. It opens up more. Major gifts, and bequest societies. You'll notice that we don't list that because we've never pushed on it in our club. Okay, good. I can't afford a major gift. I've got kids. Okay, so that's the type of thing that let me get out of that. Okay, here's the oddity that I wanted to show you. Service. Service is an interesting area because it only has 10 elements to it. And you're probably going to say to yourself, why is that? Well, because the service is input, and let's go over here to the left-hand side under service activities. Okay, so if you want to put a number in the goal here, what you have to do is go to service activities. Okay, in other words, see how you can put a goal here 8, but you'll never get anything into the achievement. I should have said it that way. You'll never get anything in the achievement unless you go to the service activities here. Watch me. I'll go to service activities. And it brings up all a system of adding new service activities. What are service activities? Pretty well anything you do. They're going to be fundraisers. They're going to be connections with your youth. They're going to be allowing you to do pretty well anything you want. Where's my list? They could be any activity with the community, any international activity, any vocational activity, any young leaders activity, fundraisers, areas of focus, polio, environment, disaster response. So those things can be classified. I always thought you could have a party and call that a service activity, but really that's building community as far as I'm concerned within the club. Anyway, here's the point. Look what we've done here. We've added new ones, or if we've got activities that we have from last year, we can just bring them up from the past. But look at the list that we have. We have under completed projects, hydro tours, sweet celebrations, the Pedal for Polio watershed, mega TV auction. That was pretty good for us. I think we ended up with $35,000 for that one. So that was a good one. But at the same time, we're working on projects. So we're keeping track of those at all times. Ribs to Go. We did that in the fall so that it should be completed. Hasn't been finished. We're getting the bills paid. And so when we look at all those projects, we're going to the Rib Fest, which we have this coming Father's Day. Come out, please. So once you've entered those things, it's kind of interesting to see. Let's go into the mega TV auction. What they're looking for, keeping track of, is not only the details of what it is, and it really should go into the showcase after you've done that, but they're looking for the amount of volunteers that go into this, the number of volunteer hours that go into this, the cash contributions, the value donated, and the goods services. So they're looking for basic numbers. And in fact, you should be at the club keeping track of these too, because you can brag. I call these bragging points. You can brag with these things. You say, wow, look at, we had how many volunteer hours? 200 alone for this one activity. Okay. This one was a Ribs to Go, I think. Was it? No, I don't know. Anyway, and we ended up with value of donated goods, $40,000, and the cash contributions ended up to be $34,000. So it allows us to be able to work on this. Of course, we had a partner in this. Okay, the whole what is this? Mega TV auction probably bought in $150,000. So we sponsored with about 6 other clubs. Anyway, the point I'm getting to is that the goal center is the way in which you're going to be able to set your goals. The goal center is the way in which you're going to be able to track them. And that's critically important. But these are only annual goals. And I'm strongly encouraging you to be able to go out and there. Good. Now, that's pretty well all I had to go through. I think that's on time too, which surprises me because I tend to babble. But is it complex? Yeah, it probably looks complex, but it really isn't. It's just a tool. It's a tool to allow you to steer the ship and to reach the destination of success. Period.
Thank you, Dave Barry. Dave, quick, let me ask you this question. Is a club tend to be more successful when they go through this process of planning? And so,
Is a business more successful when they plan?
always.
A silly question. Sorry, I didn't mean to. You see what I'm saying? I keep saying this. People would go to run a business and they
What do
say,
you-
well,
what-
what are our
how do you-
projects?
What do you think
What
about the member engagement when you take time to set goals?
Well, I think the value of having members participate makes them buy into whatever decisions they make. And so that buy-in is critically important. Especially when you get the whole club together and say, listen, we're going to set a goal. And what we want to do is contribute money to the school food program for the next 4 years. But we've got to have a certain amount of money to do it. How are we going to do it? And then they say, well, that's a worthwhile project. And we want to do that for those number of years. And that's what we've done. So it works.
Excellent presentation, excellent words. And this, I think, is really one of the important aspects of making sure that you are leading a successful club. So if you haven't got yourself familiar with Rotary Central, and you're still not sure how to do it, I believe there's some tutorials on it. You got something for us, Dave?
Yeah, hang up for session 2. I'll show you.
There you go. There you go. Go around, play around with it. Make it one of your general meetings to run through Rotary Club Central and set those goals as a club.
I like the way he said play around with it, because you're not going to break that machine. You're not. You can always correct any error you put in. Perfect.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. That was really excellent work. And we're now going to move on to it's kind of like dovetailing into the next segment here. And it's strategic planning for your club and club visioning. Matt Smith, who I think just got off the beach in Florida after playing with some manatees or something like that, is going to lead us in this discussion about club visioning and strategic planning. And again, these are part and parcel of making sure you have a successful club. So Matt, are you there?
I am here, Scott.
Are you, wow, look at that tan. One day in Florida, he has a tan.
Right. How about that? Let's see if I can, Dave did my whole thing for me. I mean, so Lisa and Dave have basically made this whole piece kind of just a regurgitation. So, but I will talk about strategic planning and kind of one of the twists that we've, what COVID kind of, I think, taught our team and maybe Rotary in general is that, hey, it's cool to talk about it, but really, as you read through, kind of this slide, together we transform. We are people of action. So a plan is okay. It's certainly a necessary step, but the more important piece is actually doing. I just want to let that sit in for a little while, right? You can plan all day, but if you don't take any action, right, you're not going to get anything done. We're not going to grow. We're not going to have any impact on our community. So it's really the action piece and giving you, I think, as the incoming president-elect's kind of the confidence to go with the competence to advance you toward, let's take action here. And we feel good about this. So, and at the bottom of this slide, there's also kind of, right, this is really the whole process. And you saw it on Dave's slide. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. But start with the big picture, right? I'm going to break out. There's a really good, I think strategic planning is part of really what we're doing here, but really we're doing strategic thinking, right? The piece that's missing sometimes is that we don't work in a bubble, right? The world is going on around us, and we need to be really observing what that is and then making predictions into the future of how that's going to impact our club and how it's going to impact our effectiveness. So there's a strategic thinking piece to this, which turns into execution planning, and then physically taking action and measuring results. But then there's this really important piece of, we always think, woo, we got to succeed. But no, we don't. Really, the best way to learn is by doing. And the biggest lessons that we learn are through failures, quite honestly, but we don't embrace that very well. So, but we kind of need to. You just need to do, and you kind of need to do and do and do and do. And then a very important piece is celebrating successes. So this is a beautiful vision statement. Pick apart, right? Do anything you want with it, right? Does it fit for your club? Do you want to kind of morph it for your club a little bit? As incoming president, does this change a little bit? Do you kind of focus it? Yeah, perhaps, but what a good background, and really speaks to kind of, what Rotary is striving for and why we're all here. So this sets us up, I think. So to then kind of go, the slide from the Cheshire Cat and Alice in Wonderland is really about this, right? So if we think about it, Scott asked, hey, if you have a plan, does that make you more successful? But even before you have a plan, you kind of got to need to know where you're going. So if any road will do, then take any step you want. But that speaks again to kind of the strategy and the thinking and how do I prioritize? Because Dave put up 10 really great things to address, but for each and every one of our clubs, we probably don't have enough resources to address those impactfully in one particular year. So you got to kind of pick and choose and kind of go, this is the most important for me. These are the next two most important and that. So anyway, and then I think, why are we ultimately here, right? I think we've all seen this, the traditional route for this is kind of the sawtooth diagram that underlays this picture, right? We put our focus onto something and it gets a little bit better, but then I turn my focus onto something else, and that thing that just improved settled back down to the way it actually was before, or maybe even got worse because people got frustrated that the change didn't stick. And really what we're all trying to do is, and this is really, again, back to the strategic thinking and the execution planning, is to kind of change the trajectory on this thing so that it always is arcing up. And the slope of that line is increasing, meaning we're building momentum. So what we're here to do as a district helper is to help each and every one of you. So, and it's efficiency, it's effectiveness, it's helping your clubs be vibrant, right? Lisa so elegantly, kind of imagine Rotary. Yes, imagine this. Where is it that we want to go? Set that as a destination, and then putting some of these pieces in place to kind of go, this is the next step for us. And then I'm a big fan of Peter Drucker. He's the guy that kind of taught a lot of really, really successful executives. So tying out Dave's piece in business again, back to, hey, Rotary really is a business. Our clubs are business. We're all here. We want to be effective. We don't want our effort to just kind of not be effective. So, and it really speaks to getting the right things done. Not everything is a right thing. And I think we all know this, but we don't hear it often enough. But busy is not the same as being effective. We're all busy, but I think you'll agree that there are some people that are more effective, and there's some organizations that are more effective than others. And that's really the key. And that's really what we're talking about in Vision to Action. So this is just, I'm not going to go through all these bullet points. They've been touched on, but people have asked for the slide decks. And please take a look at these bullet points and kind of try to project them into how does this affect me as an upcoming president-elect. Some key concepts behind club planning, right? Really, the big difference, I think, in some of the, or just the enhancement to what Dave was showing in the previous presentation, was the forces causing us to change. There are outside forces. There's the communities we serve, there's the macroeconomics, there's the microeconomics, there's war, there's COVID, there's all these things, and they change how we need to do things in order to be effective. On this particular slide, this kind of speaks to this idea of a destination, right? So we all have a starting point. It kind of goes back to Dave's planning, and we'll see this kind of over and over a couple times in the next couple of slides. But a starting point, a destination, there's some difference in here. So movement requires a starting point, a destination, and a reason to go. And that speaks to the buy-in. Why are we all, where are we going? Why do we want to get there? How are we going to get there? How do we suck the rest of the club into this? Who are we doing it with? How much money do we have? So, and that ultimately, when you start to consider some of these factors, it turns into this gap, if you will, or get there action plan. And then you'll see the word obstacles right in the middle of this. And quite honestly, it's not a straight line. This would be, much better represented if it was a bit of a squirvy line that, had some starts and stops, and I went backwards for a little bit, and then I made some progress again. So, but I do, Einstein, he's a pretty smart guy. And, he kind of spoke to the insanity, and his definition of insanity was doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So, and to a certain extent, right, I think this is a conflict that we have within Rotary, which is we have an annual cadence, right? Your term as president-elect, and then president is 1 year. Sometimes that's in conflict to this kind of higher long-term goal that we're trying to strive and to achieve. So as we think about that cadence and then think about that long-term goal, it's really difficult to get those things aligned. And that speaks to kind of that continuity that Dave was talking about. I'm going to show you another tool. We do a lot of project planning at work, and we've adopted this really nice format that's it's not ours. It's been around for a while, and it's called an A3, and it's basically a one-page storyboard. So, and the whole idea behind an A3 is that most project plans get to be like 20 pages. No one reads them, and because of that, we're not clear, we're not aligned, and then no one really takes action. So this is based on, I think Deming was one of these original founders of this idea, but Plan, Do, Check, Act. You might also have heard it as Plan, Do, Study, Act, or a PDSA loop. But it's basically, we saw it again in Dave's presentation. So, but what an A3 does is it's an 11 by 17 sheet of paper, which basically on the left side of this thing talks about what is it? What's the problem statement? What's our problem to solve? What's our current state? What's our desired future state? I just want to pause on that for a second and kind of go, what everybody typically wants to do is jump to conclusion. I have something that I think is a problem, but didn't necessarily go into this thing very deeply. So, and if you kind of divide up this sheet in regards to time, it's also a pretty good representation that you should spend about half of your time on the left side of this sheet before you spend the rest of the time on what are my countermeasures and what am I going to do about it? What's my action plan and the actual doing? And that's another pause point that I want you to consider, which is how much time are we doing in the planning step of this, where we're actually kind of going in and breaking down what's the problem, what does the community need from us, what does our club need from us, what do our members need from us, and then what's really the current state and where I want to go, and how do we know that to be true? What's the root cause? This works very nicely into, Ann Birmingham shared this with me a couple of years ago, and I believe it's still to be true, but basically 4 areas that we're trying to improve. And basically, so as incoming president, if you said, hey, I want to choose one of these boxes, increase our impact. Okay, cool. All right. Problem statement is we are not as impactful as we would like to be. And you can embellish from there, right? And then stating, okay, currently our impact is, right, these couple of things. Our future state, what we really want to have happen, looks something like this. Between that ultimately ends up being a gap. Now, again, I mean, this is, it's a lot more than a 30-second exercise, but that's basically the way that tool works. So, and just kind of in closing, because we're kind of condensed and we want to have a couple of people talk about planning and how it's actually helped them and their clubs to kind of close this segment out. But I just want you to consider this diagram and just kind of, think of your club as the sun. So there's the club, right? We have a bunch of energy. So, all right, what are we gonna do with it? What's our target? And as kids, man, it was so much fun on those hot summer days to kind of take your magnifying glass out and hee, ho, 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 right? Let's see how many holes I can burn in the paper. But things that you realize that you need are A, I need the sun. B, I need it to be the right time of day, because if you tried to do this at 5 in the morning when the sun's first coming up, not going to work. So C, you need to have no clouds, right? So you need to basically clear the noise away and be focusing on just one thing. Then you need to have the right focus, and then you can kind of watch the magic happen. So, and I think that's what I would like to encourage all of you as, kind of incoming president-elects to consider, which is, don't try to boil the ocean. We don't have enough energy to do that. But pick 1, 2, or 3 things that are really strengths for your club and try to enhance those things. And then move forward as you build momentum. It's kind of a funny slide. Why does good planning make sense? Well, this guy's he's not gonna like where he ends up here in one of the next 2 digs. Next steps, call me, call Sue, call Ann Birmingham, call Dave Barry. There's lots of people that can get you in touch with the Vision to Action Committee to help out. I do want to say, I think, what we've learned is one of the most important things of the process is that you really need a chair for this process that is not you as the president-elect or the current president. That it kind of, in order to have that continuity, it kind of has to sit outside of that a little bit. And then, as Dave so nicely spoke to, the annual goals, right, in essence, feed the long-term strategic goals. So, and then in here, there's a couple of best practices also to consider. So, all right, I've used up, thank you for your time, and I've used up my allotment here, so.
Why don't you bring on a couple of people who you had the chance to vision with, and let's bring them on and let them talk about how the process went for their clubs.
Right, we had a couple of guests, right? Glenn was going to speak to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm here. So do you want me to start?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I want to start out by saying, for those under 40 who aren't sure what David Barry means as for a Xerox copy, he actually means a photocopy, okay? Because Xerox copies are quite old, David, just so you know. Some history about where I became president. I was asked to become president-elect in November of 19 for the July 1st, 2020 year. So I came in about 18 months after the process started. And normally that might be hard to do, but I had the benefit of my club, which is Brantford Sunrise, the club in Brantford, just so you know, Mike Mears. So we have had a strategic plan since 2011, 2012, put together by the club, and ours is a 5-year plan. Which is reviewed every 5 years. However, that tool is used for the club president-elect to do his own planning for his year. And the process that our club has a club assembly every January for the president-elect to talk about his upcoming year. And so how that worked in my year was we had a club assembly in January that Richard Boynton told us how he updates how his year was going. And then I provided our club strategic plan for 2020 and 2025 with the club, and we had 4 tables, and ours is broken down. And Sue, because I don't want to fight with it, can you bring up my strategic plan on the screen, please?
Yes, I'm doing that now, Glenn.
Thank you. I would try it, but we would be here till 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. So I appreciate you doing this. And then when I need you to slide through, I'll just, so this is my club strategic plan. Next slide. Yeah, down to the next slide, Sue.
Mhm.
So we break it up into club vocational, and this is the club's goals. The first part here is the club's goals. So we broke it up into club, you know, and Sue, you can feel free to share this with anybody who asks for it. And then the vocation had one, and then that next slide, Sue, please. And then also community and international. So those are the 4 areas that our strategic plan covers. And so at our club assembly, and community being the big one, so at my club assembly, I broke we had 4 tables. I broke it into 4 tables. And 2 of them were going to do community. 1 did club goals, and 1 did vocational and international. And what I asked each table to do was list all the things that they wanted to do as members, and those in particular one they had been doing. And they, I mean, they came up with 10 or 12, but then I asked them to come back to 3 with 3. So we had a breakout session in person, not virtually. And then we came back and we wrote them on a flip chart. Their top 3 goals were in each one. I brought those back and I then started completing my yearly plan. And Sue, if you can just go down to the next one. So here's what we ended up with, you know, and so I added some in and just go down to the next one as well, Sue. And then the yellow ones are my own personal ones that I added that weren't part of the club plan and that weren't part of the 5-year club plan and weren't part of the club assembly feedback. The highlighted yellow ones are mine. Reintroduce the Rotary Minute, and I'm pleased to say, yes, I did. The addition of a new scholarship or bursary to mature students, means-based, college-focused, Brantford-based. Yes, that we did. We're able to establish that at Conestoga College. Down, Sue, please. Explore club community, desire to implement dictionary project. It did not happen because of the COVID. We weren't able to get into the schools, and I never heard back from the dictionary project out of Mississauga. Initiate and finalize process for determining the club's next major project. Yes, we did that. And so that was basically how I did it. I had the club plan for the 5 years. We broke it down into a 1-year plan, and then I added my personal goals. So I think every president should have a couple personal goals, or every president actually have a couple personal goals that you want to add to the club. And I'm pleased to say that down that Conestoga scholarship. Just to clarify that is an endowment fund. We put it in an endowment fund. We have $25,000 in that endowment fund now because my president took after me, put his 12.5 in. We have $25,000 sitting at Conestoga College. They're there for perpetuity. And so that scholarship will be there every year. And that's something that what's nice about that is, as a president, you can add that in, which I did. And then it can affect the community for a long time. So, yeah, and if you do, you know, it was just so beneficial. I can't emphasize enough how much the strategic plan helped me as a president-elect. And if your club doesn't have a strategic plan, as a president-elect and president next year, get one in place, and it'll help future presidents. And if you do one, last piece of advice, don't leave it on the shelf. Thank you. Any questions, I'm happy to take it, but that's my blurb.
Thank you, Glenn. And because we're kind of short on time, Hugh, can you go ahead and talk about your experience?
Sure. Yeah, sure. We're talking about strategic plan experience.
Yes.
Yeah, we developed one actually a number of years ago with Angela Carter's help. I think I saw Angela on here somewhere. And we review it. It did kind of sit on the shelf, contrary to Glenn's warning at the end there. It did kind of sit on the shelf for a couple of years. But at the beginning of my year, which I'm immediate past president right now, so back in my pets training time, we started to take another look at it. Actually, at the end of Mike Taylor's year. So as I was the last half, as you know, the beginning of my incoming part. So we started taking a look at it, and then we finished it up early in my term. Ours, we divided into 4 quadrants, and I don't happen to have it handy to pull up and show you, but we divided it into 4 quadrants, and we updated each of the separate quadrants. And for the life of me, I can't even think of what each quadrant represented right now. But the important part, as has already been mentioned a number of times, you do have to have that plan. You need to know where you want to be in 3 to 5 years, and you need to review it. So basically, all I'm doing is repeating what you've already heard, and it does work, because then you can assign different aspects, different projects, and certainly to go back to what Dave was talking about, it makes it a lot easier to set your goals in Rotary Club Central and to update them as you achieve some of the stuff along the way. So all I can really emphasize for president-elects that are on the call is doing the process. If you don't have a strategic plan in your club already, get some help from the district. There's awesome help available, as you've already heard tonight, and get that plan underway. And it's not something you're going to knock out in one session. When we did our first one, we took a Saturday with as many club members as could attend, and we knocked a rough draft, if you will, together, and then we refined it. And as I say, we've reviewed it a couple of times, most recently now about a year ago, and we try to we set a goal to make sure that we do that update every year. Hopefully we'll stick to that. We've managed 2 years now, so hopefully we can keep doing that. But that's the important thing. As Glenn said, don't leave it on the shelf. First of all, you got to have one. Second, you have to look at it on a timely basis from year to year, and adapt it, because things do change, whether there's new needs in your community. COVID has already been mentioned, sure knocked the wind out of a lot of plans for a lot of Rotary clubs. But on the other hand, and I just want to say, I'm really proud to be a Rotarian, and my wife Sandy was president of her club the same year I was president in Fawn Hill. And we Rotarians can adapt, and we can do good work. And that's, whether you have that strategic plan or not, we're all going to continue to do good things in our communities. But having a strategic plan will help your club do good things for itself and enable you to continue along the road. And that's all I'm going to say, because I'll just get into repeating myself. Make a plan, review it, and live to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Scott, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Sue, and thanks, Matt, and thanks for the testimonies from Glenn and Hugh. Really great topics being talked about tonight. And I think these are tools that are out there and available to all the clubs in our district. And, you know, we have some wonderful volunteers who are ready to step in there and help you with your visioning, with your strategic planning. This is the way to make the most of your year. So get to it. I did have a little bit of a break scheduled here. So if anybody wants to get up and get some coffee, let's make this a 3-minute break to 8:10. So biology breaks, get your coffee, get back here at 8:10, and let's get ready to go. Dave Barry, we liked him so much the first time. We're going to bring him back out, and he's going to talk about some Rotary tools that you can use, and we'll move on. All right, 8:10, everybody. See you in 3 minutes. So we are going to bring out Al Lutchen from the Rotary Club of Hamilton and our Rotarian Emeritus, Angela Carter. And they're going to talk about coaching and club coaching and the benefits that your club can have doing that. So Al, Angela, we're going to put the spotlight on you now and take it away.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's great to be here. If it's okay, I'm going to share something on my screen. I'm going to try it. We didn't practice any of this, but can everybody see this this wheel?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we've got 10 minutes just to share with you some of what we're doing on the coaching initiative with District 7090. So Al, pop in, say hi.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for having us.
Yes. So Al and I will tag team a little bit through here, but we wanted to just come and tell you a little bit about some of the successes we've been having with this coaching initiative. We started the Rotary Center for Coaching under District 7090 a couple of years ago. We did some pilot projects and had some really, really great feedback from the participants in it. And we've had 2 3-part series so far, and we've been doing some 2-hour sessions with a number of districts and within zones 26 and 32, I believe, or 28 and 32. So this coaching initiative that we're doing is very powerful for Rotary leaders to engage new Rotarians, to retain Rotarians, to have conversations that are very different from the ones we've been having in order to help Rotary move forward. And so from the coachee's perspective, as they're going through this very interactive experience in this coaching demo, so we literally keep our learning down to about 10 minutes. And then the rest of the session that we're doing is very interactive. It's practice time. You get an opportunity to be a coach and a coachee and really get a feel for how valuable this tool can be for all Rotarians, really. And the feedback we've been getting is that people love it. They can see how beneficial it is, not only in their Rotary world, but in their work world with their families. They find it to be very enlightening. They love the fact that it's focused on active listening and showing up differently to meetings with a lot of the weight lifted off their shoulders, because coming into a coaching session, they don't hold the responsibility for what needs to happen in that conversation. It's the coachee that holds that. And I think that's what the realization, Al, that a lot of people are having is like, oh my goodness, like I don't have to carry all this weight of having the answer to everything. If I, conduct this interaction from a coaching perspective, I take the weight off of me and allow the other person to make some decisions for themselves. So the model that we've been using, which is very quickly demonstrated here from the coachee perspective, is that you're really looking to find out what the goal is. So even when we think about conflict resolution, or we think about, anything that's sort of happening in the club, we've got a new member who wants to grow. We really want to find out what is their goal. What do they want to achieve from the conversation? And as the coach, when we go down to this section, our goal as a coach is, how do I want to be during this conversation? And from a coaching perspective, I should be there to serve, as Rotary is about service above self. I should be there to serve the person that I'm having the conversation with. And that means I may have to show up and just listen. It may mean I need to show up and be attentive, or to not bring my judgments and assumptions forward. And so the coachee is looking in this realm. The coach is saying, how am I going to show up? What's my goal for being in this meeting? And then the reality is what's really happening for the coachee. So you're going to give them an opportunity to just share what's going on for them. And again, you'd be amazed at what happens in a few minutes when someone's given that opportunity uninterrupted to just, express how they're feeling. And then that may take a little bit. And then again, as a coach, you're sort of looking at, how am I listening? Where am I providing space for someone to be able to honestly and openly share and not feel judged or criticized or just having nothing really to respond. And then we're going to walk through sort of some options. So once they have an opportunity to get everything out and they're kind of saying how they feel, and you've really listened, perhaps repeating back to them what you think they are saying to you, then we're really looking at, okay, what are our options? And what would you like to do? What ideas do you have to move this forward, as opposed to, hey, I've been through that before. I got some really great ideas. Try this, try this, try this. But every situation is so different. And oftentimes, given the space, people will come up with their own ideas. And so as the coach, you're really looking at asking those thought-provoking questions. And I think that's the other thing people really love is that opportunity in our sessions to really explore that, to really find the questions to ask and to be comfortable with that. And the last part is really asking about what options, what actions they want to take, when are they going to take them? And then as a coach, you really want to support them. And, again, listening, does it make sense to them? Not necessarily, doesn't have to make sense to me, but given what you've heard, given what they're looking to do, is that something that they believe would be a reasonable approach? And so we've been using this model, and the feedback, like I said, it's hard to explain all of this in 10 minutes, but I think the feedback we've been getting has been really positive. They love the demos, the experiences in the sessions. So I'll just turn it over to Al to add a few thoughts here as well.
Yeah, thanks very much, Angela. Yeah, just to share some participant feedback that we've had over the past 2 years. People have described this as it was a great experience to be a coach. I highly recommend it. A valuable learning session. Best feedback I received from the AG group in my 3 years as AG coordinator. Excellent session. So this is a new style of leadership that we're bringing to Rotary. The concept of coaching as a leadership model certainly isn't new in industry. It's been out there for 35 years and is becoming incredibly important now as we move through COVID and out into a new period of leadership style. So we believe that adapting a coaching leadership style, as Angela said, is going to provide you with the tools that you need to have a great Rotary year. It's going to help to increase engagement. It's going to, we hope, will increase retention. And we've also had feedback that it's helped with recruitment. And so when you put those three pillars together, you've got a really powerful and compelling, opportunity to really move your club forward. And so we'd like to just flag and give you a personal invitation to attend the club training assembly coming up on May 7th, not too far away. Angela, myself, and our other team of professional coaches have been invited to do a special 2-hour introduction to coaching, which will be the first hour. And then we're going to run through how to use coaching as a leadership style to deal with conflict resolution. Does anybody have any conflict in their clubs? A few of us do, right? Yeah. And so this model of coaching, as Angela has said, is not only going to be useful for you in Rotary, it's going to be useful for you in business, at your work, and your personal life, and so on. So we're really excited about being able to bring that introduction to coaching to you on May the 7th.
Thanks, Al. I think the style of the experience is very different for Rotary as well. And I think that's what people really love, the fact that there's it's a real live experience. So you get to see sort of what it looks like from the professional coaching perspective, because we do have a faculty. We've got 10 certified executive coaches who are all volunteering their time. And I can tell you, if you had to pay for executive coaching yourself to get this kind of, you'd be looking at anywhere from $350 to $500 an hour. So we're bringing 10 certified executive coaches at that value to these 3 sessions to Rotary for free. Like, it's just the fact that we can even pull this together, I think, is pretty amazing. So we really want to see people, actively engage in it. And again, it's not something you're required to do as part of your leadership, but, it's something that we hope you will want to do and that you'll benefit from and that you'll really, really enjoy. So I think that is our 10 minutes.
Anybody have any questions of us?
Anybody? Well,
we hope to see you at the district assembly and that you join our group and get to experience it live and in person, or virtually and in person.
Well, listen, Angela, Al, thank you so very much for coming here tonight and talking a little about coaching. What a great resource you guys are and your team. And if I haven't said it before now, I can't stress enough the talent that we have available to us at the district level to provide you with some great resources and great tools on how to make your club even that much better. So really appreciate your efforts, and we look forward to seeing you at the club training assembly. Thanks, Angela. Thanks,
Thanks so
Al.
much, Scott.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Good
Bye-bye.
luck in your
Thank
year.
you. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll keep this ball rolling here while I got some momentum, and we'll turn it back to our favorite producer, Dave Barry, who, after we talk about all these soft skills, he's actually going to give us some hardware that we can actually use to make our rotary lives a little bit better. So, David, right back to you.
Thank you. I'm going to, you should be able to see the screen that says the Rotary Club of Niagara Falls Sunrise right now. Agreed?
Yes.
Good, thanks. I had slides. I was going to spend time talking about it, but in the time that we have, I'm just going to go and race through this so that you'll get an understanding. Somebody said they wanted to know how to change their executive names and everything. I had to go in my own club here to do it. And of course, once you sign in, go to the member area. And I think most people have seen this, but some people who have just taken over their positions might not have total authority to be able to get into every part of it. So make sure that you've been given a change of your authority so that you can see all parts of this. And what I'm saying is as you come down here, you get the events planner, and you go in and set up an event, attendance. But here's the organization, and you can get into this and change the executive and directors by just clicking on this. So some people might not have the authority to do that. Make sure that you go to your webmaster and say, I want to have a 40 or a 30, because that's the number of authorities that you have to have. It's a ranking that you get within Club Runner. Okay, so you can change that very easily. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to go to the, oops, at least I thought of, the district website, and let me get to the home page here so that you're all. Because there's features here that really will give you the benefit of going in. You'll notice that I am signed in, okay, and this is probably pretty important for you. A couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Really, if you come down here and you go to Club Tools, what you're going to see is a whole slew of important types of resources that you have. Club presidents' resources, vice president-elects, secretary, treasurers. Take your team and show them this. Have them pull out the information that's available and be able to look at this. This is the visioning for clubs. And like I said, I'm going to go back into this. And it really talks about the long range planning that you can do. And this is exactly what Matt was talking about in terms of bringing in somebody from this team. And you can talk about the presentations. You can get information about it all in that area. So I'm going back to the home here. So I was at Club Tools, and look at the other tools that are down available. Service projects, Rotary Club Central Toolbox. We spent some time in Rotary Club Central. Go into that. And like I said, you're not going to break this machine, people. Just explore. Go into the Rotary Club Central Toolbox, and what you're going to find is sort of an outline of what the Rotary Club Central is all about. But even more important is some information on the left-hand side that you can download. What I gave you was the RCC goals checklist, the Rotary Club Central checklist with the lighthouse, so that you can use this as a monitoring tool. Okay, so use a monitoring tool so that you can come up with showing your club every month how well you're doing. Okay, the other thing down here is a full manual for Rotary Club Central, and that'll take you through the entire operation and allow you to be able to look at everything. Now it's very pictorial, so that you can look at this and say, I can see what it's doing, and it has explanation of how to do it. Okay. So these downloadable aids are there for you to be able to understand how to use the Rotary Club Central. What else did I have? the manual and the checklist. Okay, so a lot of things in terms of resources, in terms of what the organization of the district is all about. Come over here to the committees and understand what the public image, with a very important public image committee is all about, and follow through with that, investigate that, look at it, find out what's going on. What you're going to find is nuggets of information that are going to allow you to understand what the district does a lot more. What I'd like to do is go to My Rotary now. The My Rotary is the Rotary Club Central, is the platform used by Rotary International, I should say, the platform used by Rotary International. And it's attainable through my.rotary.org, or else you just go on and you sign in Rotary, My Rotary from the main page. And really what you're going to find is a huge amount of wonderful information available. If you go to the member center, you look at online tools here. Yes, Rotary Club Center, but the brand center, where you can get logos, the up-to-date information, you can get marketing tools that'll help you. Showcase, we haven't talked about Showcase at all. This is your bragging rights tool. It allows you to show the world what you are doing. And so go into Rotary Showcase. Great effort to be able to brag to the rest of the world. And of course, there's the Learning Center. I think that most people should spend time on the Learning Center because it's really a course on Rotary. And especially the new members, you can, this is Rotary International's problem all the time. It's very slow at times. But it allows you to look through learning opportunities, whether you're a treasurer, a president, or a secretary, or you want to learn about any aspect of Rotary. There we are. About Rotary, leadership, district general information. These are all sort of mini courses that you can take and a great value. Okay, I think that's, I could go on, but I think we don't go for too far. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. I think it's critically important that you do look at the, where'd my, I've lost my,
We hear you.
I know. Oh, there it is. I've got 3 screens going, so I sometimes say, where's my other mean? Okay, so all I'm trying to get you to do is to recognize there's a wealth of information in all those areas, and don't be afraid to go on to the, especially the district, and pick those sources.
All right, David, thank you very much. Now that we got soft tools, you got hardware, everybody's ready to go out and slay this next year as club president. Very good. All right, so we've had 4-5 months of meetings here or whatnot. We're into the 5th meeting, I think. And we still got one more graduation session to go. But we want to hear a little bit from you guys. And we want to now go into a breakout session. And I got a few questions that I want you to talk it over with a moderator and with yourselves. Let's discuss what you found out to be the most important thing you learned in pets. Maybe an ancillary question that is, what's the one thing you learned that you want to put into practice when you're club president? What other information would you want to know after going through pets? And third thing, how can your club with goal setting, if you haven't already done it, how can we help you? So our producer, Dave, is going to get some breakout rooms set up. We're going to go in there and let's, Sue got something?
I've got them set up and ready to go, Scott.
Oh, never mind. Forget Dave. Take it over. She grabbed the wheel from you, Dave. I don't know if
Nope, she gonna have it.
There we go. All right, Sue,
Here we go.
you ready? Here we go.
Turning. Everybody's returning. Welcome back.
We just cut everybody off.
We were just getting that ball rolling too.
I was in the middle of a prolonged speech.
Can we have some of the moderators do a little bit of a recap of things that they heard in their? I'll start it. People seem to really appreciate learning about planning and strategic planning for their club. And that was something that people were really happy about. And I'll go on to the next moderator. Go ahead. Who's got something else they want to chime in on?
We had a discussion and I think it was, the word I wrote down here was fire hose.
Yes.
And I forgot, I didn't write the name down, but absolutely. And sometimes it's horrific amount of information and you're left with that. One gentleman said he can't get over, and I think this was Tommy, he can't get over the amount of preparation needed before the year starts. Don't walk into the year. You have to prepare for it. And I think that was a critical element that I wanted to pass on to people.
Who else we got over here?
You've got to also put in your own goals too, because that'll give you value.
Yep.
That isn't what he added, but that's the way I interpreted it. Good.
Who else wants to jump in here? Anybody?
Well, it's like I was saying, it's Jerry from the Simcoe Club.
Go ahead.
It was like I was saying, our club in some ways has been gutted by the COVID disaster. And we're down to one meaningful fundraiser. It's a good one. But we're down to just one, and anything else, any other money raised comes out of the pockets of the individual Rotarians, which is okay, but it's not exactly spreading our wings and getting out into the community and doing some good stuff in the community and getting paid for it. You know, we've had things like housing tours, which are just off. I don't know that they'll ever come back thanks to COVID. Because people don't want a whole bunch of people wandering through their house, or strangers wandering through their house, given the current climate out there. And I think that's going to be around for a while. So we don't have a strategic plan. So we've got to get a strategic plan. We've got to get, say, 2 more fundraisers in addition to the one we have now, plus the out-of-pocket one I mentioned. The other thing I've talked about is governance. We've got to get back to solid Rotary governance, and I've appointed 2 guys already to look after that. They understand it. They've been there around for a long time, and I'm pretty confident in them. And by the way, I've done this in the full knowledge of the current president, who, by the way, is my candidate for Man of the Year in our small little town.
Hey, baby.
He's got a lot on his plate, and so I'm trying to help him at this point as much as possible.
Let's let some of the other moderators step in here and give some things they heard in their groups. Who else is moderating? We got Paul, Sue, Lisa, anybody else?
I think, Scott, I heard a general appreciation for the breadth of the resources that are actually available once people are made aware. Like there's, I think, way more on the district website than people realize, way more at My Rotary, especially the Learning Center now is phenomenal. I don't know anybody who's done any of the courses, they're all really good. So I think just that awareness and the fact that, you know, you don't have to do this alone. It shouldn't be overwhelming. There's lots of resources. Just fire an email, pick up the phone. Everybody's willing to jump in and get you to the right person, especially your AGs.
Very good. Anybody else want to add
Sure.
to what we've heard?
4 out of the 5 people in our room were coming into our second presidency. And my comment was tools, 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 tools. The number of tools that we have available to us, and it's just amazing. I don't recall all these tools when I took my first presidency just a few years ago.
Yep.
And also another thing was strategic planning and what all it takes to put together a good strategic plan. Those were the two things we came out with.
Super. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody staying overtime a little bit here to get a little discussion going in here. Lisa Bishop, do you want to round us into home here?
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry I got bumped off. I don't know what that was about. Hope I didn't get voted out.
It was like Big Brother. We just knocked you out. So.
But I am back. I'm so thankful to be back. And in the midst of everything, I've had some good sidebar discussions with different Rotary clubs in regards to banners, the excitement for the new year, trying to talk about speakers, engagement, coaching. Some of the AGs that are on this evening have talked about the coaching and mentoring, and intentionally seeking out and supporting aspiring leaders, helping everyone grow in their roles. And within my breakout group, there's some natural networking about how it can support one another. If you've not been on My Rotary or gone onto a Rotary Learning Center or the district, it's our districts, not just the district website, but it's the district website that we all use. Trying to use my language to be very inclusive. It's not something separate, it's for all of us. And so the natural partnerships about helping one another, just even have some buddies or collectively at an area meeting, go through the websites and look at the tools and get logged in, get used to having a login. Those are those are skill building things that we all need to do. So I'm just very thankful for everyone. This sort of ends the very formal training for pets, but it's the beginning. And there's lots of opportunities to still grow and do things within the role. And it's an exciting time. I look forward to seeing everyone at the graduation, look forward to seeing everyone at the club training assemblies, in particular, all the club presidents. May 5th, if you can please be there. As I said, we do the budget, and then we're going to have some other facilitated dialogue. And also, many things to come. We have lots of things that are being offered. It's a very busy month. But I thank everybody for their time. We had many people out this evening, and I especially thank our training team. And so that's the key message, is just to thank everyone for everything that they do. And if anyone would like to stay on, I'm able to stay on for another half hour or so if people are able to. If anyone has any burning questions, they want to talk about things, please stay on and we can talk.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll have make this the formal adjournment of session 4. Again, thank you for coming out tonight and getting your knowledge enhanced and getting yourself ready to be the best leader you can be for your club. And again, thanks to Dave Barry, Matt Smith, Glenn Christensen, Hugh Graham, and who am I leaving out? Anybody else? And of course, the whole Pets team, Sue Cerny, Paul Gibble, Tommy Weegee. I'm leaving someone out, sure, and I apologize. I feel like I'm in an Oscar speech here. Thank everybody, but good night to anybody who wants to leave. And if anybody wants to hang around and ask questions of the team, feel free to do so. In any event, we'll all see all of you next week at Club Leadership Training. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.